Remember us.
Okay, we're not putting that in. Come on, Tanner. You're supposed to be aspirational. Welcome to the Dry January episode of Sam. Guys, I've missed doing this so much, can I just say. We haven't made videos generally in a while, but it's you guys and it's this that I really...
Yeah.
That I have a soft spot
where
for.
our heart is.
I'm like, this is a book club. This is a community. This is a home.
This is a fan base.
This is a fan base.
A family.
This is a TED Talk every week. Chapter 10. Cannot remember a thing about what happened before, so hopefully you guys are up to speed.
Yeah, things happened. Chaos. Let's find out.
I just want to say thanks for being here and happy 2022, and it really means a lot that you're a patron.
Yeah, for real.
It really does. Okay, so Lara, remember there's that... Wait, is Lara the girl in the ward?
Isn't Lara the main interest? It has been too long since we've done this.
But Lara is the girl that is on the ward council, or that they were under the table. She's the return missionary, right? And they've been flirting.
Oh yeah, there was a whole scarf neck
There's
thing.
the neck fetish.
Still have not heard from Sam's child.
Adam's at boarding school. He lives on a lovely farm. He has tons of room to play. Lara, this is silly. Why wouldn't you let me apologise on the phone? Why'd we have to come here? Was there an apology that happened in the last chapter? Is it just
I've overlooked your eating habits.
Yeah, that was from last year. Remember, he was saying that it's fucked up that she doesn't eat sugar, even though he had previously shamed a woman for eating sugar.
Oh my god.
No, I think he's saying sorry. I think the crime he's committed is not wanting to kiss her. But then it was also she didn't want to kiss him either, so I don't really know. And if you guys remember, sound off in the comments and we'll read them way too late.
We talk a big talk about caring a lot about this plot, but I guess it's not the plot, it's more the experience.
Again, it's the experience, it's the community. The details are interchangeable. The heart of Jack Whalen's writing is kind of transcends content,
Yeah, I get it.
So anyway, why wouldn't you let me apologise on the phone? Why do we have to come here? Because this is where we started. All right, but did you clear using the room? Of course. You go first. Careful, don't bump your head. I crawled under the high council table and she followed, dragging a picnic basket after her. Okay, so they're just both mutually agreeing to this fantasy that...
I like that tables feature so prominently in their sexual energy.
Yeah, it's they had this experience and they were that was sexy. They've both thought about it every day since and they're let's act this out. Let's go.
How much you want to bet they consummate under a table... Maybe even in the temple, I don't know. How quickly do Mormon couples consummate after? Do they wait till they get to the hotel? Is it the lunch? Didn't Nuance Ho just do a TikTok about this?
Yes, she did. What's in the basket? Later. First of all, you've got a lot of explaining to do about what you've been doing. It's only been a week. But a busy week for you, she accused. Sam, how do you think I felt when people told me about the things you were doing? What do you think he's doing? Is this just... Are we just jumping in without... I think... There's no context that we have for this.
No.
Is what I'm hoping.
Let's just turn off our minds, relax, float downstream.
Float down
Give
the
yourself over to Jack.
Okay. For a while, I was getting a phone call every 15 minutes. I thought you'd gone berserk. Who told you? Relatives, friends, single adults. I wrote it all down. Should we go through it now? I don't see how that will... Sam, we're going through this, she said coolly. Sam, we're going through this, she said coolly as she opened a small notebook. Let's see, she said, reading from her notes. You called up the Deseret Gym and asked for a list of single women who play racquetball. How many did you take out? Just one. And? She beat me. Terrific backhand. So, I never want to see her again in my life. She glanced at her notebook. Here's one I find difficult to believe. You hung around an LDS bookstore watching girls who buy books about temple marriage. I needed something to do during my lunch hours. Let's see, she said, flipping to another page. You took out all 5 checkout girls at a Safeway store. Is that right? Well, not all at once, of course. This next one really surprises me. You took out a girl who's still in high school.
Okay, sorry to not be so... Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
I think
Let's this first.
I think it's just going to be written about as she was cute and she was willing.
Oh, he's Joseph Smith did it.
What were you going to say?
Give me back and look up.
I did?
Oh, I was going to say he took out 5 of the clerks from the grocery store. Yeah,
In a
right.
week?
Maybe he asked out all 5, but there's no way he went out with 5. He's like Bill Gates minus the money or the shrewdness.
Yeah. Well, maybe they just did like little walks around the car park at the store. So she said, you took out a girl who's still in high school. I did.
I hope she's a lawyer and he's getting subpoenaed right now. Is that the right word?
To refresh your memory of the details, she was the one who worked at McDonald's. Oh, it wasn't a date. She's taking her driver's exam next week and she wanted practice driving a car with a manual shift. Her father came with us.
What?
Love details on how that would come about. I can't read my writing on the next one. It looks like ground beef girl. Yep, she puts it into the little plastic boxes and seals it. You mean another one from Safeway? Well, you know their motto, since we're neighbours, let's be friends. How did Hamburger Patty work out? I made the mistake of asking about her goals. She said someday she hopes she can move up to stakes. Is that all you dated? Well, there was a women's stakes softball tournament. You dated one of the players? Sort of, I said vaguely. More? You mean the entire team?
No, he just stood on the sidelines watching in total silence, expressionless. And he counted it as a date. They didn't even know he existed.
Careful, Tanner. I took them out for banana splits and told stories about my mission. They all said it was more inspiring than the Old Testament.
And then
Not
they
hard.
bananaed splitted. Yeah. I hope that was a joke, Jack.
Why'd you even bother to call me last night? I mean, there were still hardware stores, banks, drugstores, libraries. Why bother to get back to me? Okay, why is this a thing that Sam does where when things in his relationship are feeling a bit overwhelming, he goes on a dating spree? He did this at BYU, remember? And it was like he did blondes, he did brunettes, he did Californians, he did Idahoans.
That's all the uns that exist.
It's like how he copes when things get hard. He just goes off and dates in a frenzy for a week.
He's got a whole religion telling him that his only value as a human is to get married. And so if he's feeling low in his value as a human, you know where he's got to put that energy.
Just in
It's not going to be into his music and not into his model plane. Certainly not his son.
I know, you literally like taught a stranger the banjo, but you can't play with your son.
Yeah.
Did he teach the banjo?
He
Or did they learn
they took
together?
classes.
I don't, yeah.
Meanwhile,
I don't
child is...
Okay, so she said, why bother to get back to me? After all the others, I finally decided, I'm not sure, but it's entirely possible that I may be falling in love with you. It is. Indications point that way at present time. When will you be sure? I don't know. But indications actually are pointing. Good grief, Sam, this sounds like a weather report. You're saying you might be in love with me. You've got it, Ace. I'm as surprised as you are. Why? Remember the first time we were under this table? It was such a crazy night. For a split second, I thought you were Charlie.
Red flag, red flag.
She was always doing wild things, and I'd never been under the table with a girl before. Me neither. But one thing's sure. You're not Charlie. So why am I falling in love with you? That's a good question, but I've got a better one. Why'd it take 3 busloads of girls to figure that out? I tried the others. On a high moral plane, you understand, but I came back to you.
Zero sexual interest.
On a high moral plane, like I used all these women as objects to just kind of like numb the difficult feelings I was having. But, you know, I didn't have sex with them or like snog them, so. Why is that so hard to understand? They do it all the time on TV with deodorants. Talk slower, Sam, she said, writing in her notebook. I want this all down for my journal. Okay, you guys are perfect for each other.
They'll come in handy in therapy, too.
I know. Okay, so I ran away and dated a couple dozen girls last week. There was another reason. You have one drawback. Just one? You're overqualified. Too smart, too spiritual, too much initiative. Whereas Charlie was dumb and teachable and a new convert and the
Also
initiative.
so much initiative.
She also did have a lot of initiative.
Yeah. Almost too much initiative. Remember the scenes she would cause.
The dramas. He then says, for all I know, you make more money than I do.
Whoa.
Heaven forbid.
Is that even right?
No.
I don't think no Heavenly Father I worship.
That's like an unwritten commandment. Like if you're taking a job from a man, you know?
He's like, you're almost like a man. Too much facial hair, but somehow I'm into it. What does this mean about me?
Look how cute Banksy is.
Oh.
For all I know, you make more money than I do. Last week when I was still mad at you, I pictured us married and people coming up to us, slapping you on the back and asking, how's the little man? Okay, so she makes you feel emasculated. Like, but you're projecting that onto her. Okay, I agree, I'm a monster. Cute though. Oh, thanks. This is just one of those like light sexisms. I just can't even be bothered to challenge. Just like, yeah, that's like that. Last week I decided...
It was the 80s. Everyone was doing a sexism.
Oh, thanks. Last week I decided most of all I wanted to be cute. You know, it hasn't been an easy week for me either. I kept asking myself, where did I go wrong? I finally decided it was when my bishop interviewed me about goals when I was 12 years old. He told me I could achieve anything I put my mind to, and I believed him. He was right, but he didn't tell me that if I was too successful, I'd scare all the boys away. You're not the first, you know. In my senior year in college, I was solely responsible for 10 freshman girls getting married. A guy would start to date me, get intimidated, and run out and propose to the first 18-year-old girl he met. Just a suggestion. Maybe the live journaling in the middle of fights puts them off too.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Just a little pro tip.
She opened the picnic basket and pulled out a book and gave it to me. What's this for? We need to improve our communications. This book talks about active listening. Let's try one of his examples. Suppose you are my son and you are taking piano lessons. You come home from a lesson and say you don't want to go anymore.
This is going to be way too abstract for Sam.
I don't really like that they're getting into mother-son dynamics. That feels like wrong if he's like, you make me feel emasculated, and she's like, let's do this role play where you're my son.
Were you
and
a
I'm going to
tiny
teach you
little
how
boy? Say, mommy, please. There's no way Sam can relate to having a son he loves and puts in music lessons. No. This is going to be way too out of left field.
A pause. Well, go ahead and say it. I don't want to take piano anymore. Not like that. Say it like you mean it. I'm not taking any more dumb lessons. You're mad at the teacher, aren't you? A long pause. Well, aren't you? Laura, how should I know? It's your example. Pretend the teacher really cuts you down. I hate the teacher!
She is going to be wild in bed.
That's when your acting coach is like, okay, so now we know what it's like at the edge, now let's bring it back. You don't like to go there every week, do you? No, she's always putting me down. I can never please her. You'd like to quit the whole thing, wouldn't you? Why does this feel like it's role play? What's going on? I'm like, is this teaching anyone about communication?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and I will too, so don't try and stop me. And there's another thing. Quit trying to make me eat spinach. We both stopped and looked at each other. Spinach, she asked. I'm sorry, I don't know how that got out. He was going with it. He was getting
trying.
into the character.
He yes-anded. He's doing better than me today.
Hello there. We looked out and saw the stake president's shoes. We crawled out from under the table, both of us blushing. I suppose you're wondering why we were under the High Council table with a picnic basket talking about piano lessons, I said. Yes, but I'm not going to ask. Whatever it is, it's a ward problem. Good night. He stopped halfway to the door and turned back with a grin. I know what you mean. I didn't like piano lessons either. The next day after work, Lara and I helped my folks pick cucumbers for pickles. My parents were inside getting the jars and lids ready. Paul and Julie showed up. Ta-da! Julie shouted. Here we are, the stars of physics research. Paul took me to his lab and made me a diamond. Actually, Paul modestly explained, it's just a microscopic diamond. Have you two had dinner? I asked. I don't remember, Paul grinned. Julie, have we eaten? She giggled. After you gave me that tiny diamond and proposed, I can't remember anything else. Proposed? I asked. Proposed what? Who were Paul and Julie? Because John was the other guy who was getting married.
Didn't he have two home teachy friends? One was John and Paul.
Oh, is this the physics? Oh, it's the
Beatles.
physics student that he's a home teacher to, yeah. Okay. Marriage, Paul answered. We're going to get married to each other. We had created a monster. When? Lara asked, as stunned as I was. Anytime we want. We need a license and a blood test, Paul said happily. Why do you need a blood test? To get married?
To prove you're not siblings.
Okay,
Banksy
well,
looks
if
like
any of you know,
a
please tell
fox
us.
that a old-timey woman would wear on her coat.
Did you see how much shit I had with the fox in England?
Yeah, that was real beef.
Yeah. Do I pass the test? I have blood. I know, Paul blushed. That's what makes you so warm. Hey, how about next Saturday? Okay, I always wanted to get married on a Saturday. Paul, can we stay up and watch Saturday Night Live? Surprised that Mormons would watch Saturday Night Live.
I know, that's
Maybe
a bit
it
too
was
edgy.
pretty PC. Julie, he blushed. We will be Saturday Night Live. You can't get married just like that, I growled. Julie, Lara explained, you've got to pick out a wedding dress and then there are invitations and a reception to be planned. It takes weeks to get everything planned. She's like, you'll need at least 3 weeks. Sure, that's what you do if your parents are around, but ours aren't. They won't be back in the States for another 6 months. Why? Because they're on a mission, so they have to miss their child's wedding? Besides, we don't want all the expense. We'll rent a wedding dress at the temple. The most important thing is to be married in the temple.
We'll rent a wedding dress at the temple. Oof.
Remember how you used to have to pay to rent certain temple clothes?
Do you still have to?
I had to when I was there, and I remember
Yeah, I
thinking it was
remember having
weird.
and being like, this is weird. I can't believe I have to pay to do this.
Julie, you'd better talk to your bishop about this, I grumbled. We did, Paul said. What did he say? Congratulations. You've only known each other for a few weeks, I said. Take more time. Okay, Sam has proposed to like 3 girls in less time than that. Paul looked at his watch and observed the second hand. That's 30 seconds. I still feel the same way. How about you, Julie? I waited for you, she teased. Why didn't you ever write? Come on, Paul, what do you really know about girls? How many girls have you ever dated? I mean, besides the girl with the frozen hand and the other, the one with bugs.
The frozen hand?
The girl with the frozen hand. That's how Paul describes when you sit on your hand for ages and it feels like someone else's.
It's the Mormon equivalent to the girl with the dragon
So we
tattoo.
haven't heard those stories before. That's just like
Okay.
That's a story I'd love to hear, Lara said. What does it matter how many others I've dated? Paul argued. I'm 24. That isn't exactly a teenage wedding. Au contraire, it is a teenage wedding.
You're a teenager till 30.
Mm-hmm. Then, remembering Julie, he asked, is it? No, but just barely. Don't rush into this. Why are you both so against us getting married? Julie asked. Lara turned to me. Why are we? It's obvious, isn't it? Julie is too, alive for Paul. I always pictured him marrying someone like Madame Curie. She'd stand by him in the lab. It's a weird opinion to share. Sure, Lara added, and Julie'd marry a PE major and they'd do morning calisthenics together.
If he was dating somebody like Madame Curie, wouldn't he be standing by her in the lab? Wasn't she kind of running the show?
That's why we object, I said. You both are so different from each other. I know we are, Paul said, but it works for us. Julie's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me. All of a sudden, the world is full of colours I never even knew existed. And Paul is the nicest and smartest guy I've ever known, Julie said. Do you know he has nearly all the hymns memorised? That's definitely what I'm looking for.
That's the standard, yeah.
Paul, I suggested, what would be wrong with waiting 6 months to see if you still love each other then? No, I'm tired of singing and jogging. I've taken so many cold showers this week, I think I've got diaper rash. Is that related to
trying to
not have sex?
Yeah. But also incredible for your dopamine. If anyone out there is looking for something that gives you a better spike than cocaine.
And I'm tired of riding elevators, Julie complained. Elevators, I asked. Paul said it was okay. What is going on? What is happening? This is like really confusing. Am I high?
Yes.
But like they're just like saying it's like almost a joke, but there's like no context. So like, what do you mean riding elevators? Paul said it was okay, and then they just move on. It's like what are you on about? Are you avoiding having sex by riding the elevator? What are you talking about?
That is it. I think that's the one.
Why would
they're like, we got to get married stat. I've been trying all these things, just trying to keep my mind occupied. The idle mind is the devil's playground.
I want to get married, Paul called out. That's not a good enough reason, I said.
Just the frozen hand from all the cold showers? Is that the...
I don't know what's going on with these two. They're a mess. Lara turned to me. What exactly do you want to happen first? Marriage is a big step, Lara, I said. I understand that, Sam. What do you want, she asked. A letter from the first presidency saying it's all right? If they get along, if they love each other, if they can go to the temple, why on earth shouldn't they get married? Now they were all looking at me. It's a big step, I repeated. We're ready for it, Julie said. Sometimes married life is tough. We'll face whatever comes, Paul said. I shrugged my shoulders. Okay, congratulations, you two. By way of advice, I started the story of the 2 frogs, but Julie turned the hose on me and Lara joined her. Then Paul joined me and we started a mammoth water fight. Laura and I watched as Paul and Julie knelt at an altar in the temple. The temple president counseled them. You know, only in one of these temples can you be married for time and eternity. It's not because these buildings are more beautiful, nor because we think we're any better than anybody else. I don't know. I think even the fact that you're like feeling the need to deny that you think, we don't think we're any better than anyone else. We just think that everyone else who thinks their marriage is eternal is wrong.
Yeah, you've just been misled. You're very confused.
It's because the prophet Elijah as an angel returned to earth and brought back the sealing power of the priesthood. And that's why you're here today, because of Elijah.
God bless him.
Lara was watching Julie and Paul, and I was watching Lara. It was so comfortable to be sitting next to her in the temple. Now, you both want this marriage to last into the eternities, don't you? They both nervously nodded yes. Well, if it's going to last that long, then it has to last today, doesn't it? You'll never reach forever if you don't reach 5 years or 10 or 50. And that means you have to work at it day by day, because eternity is made of days, and each day is important and carries the thread of eternity. Yeah.
Wow.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Well, Sam.
I reached out. Well, that was the temple's guy.
Oh.
Yeah. Sam could never. I reached over and held Lara's hand. She looked at me and smiled. We're taught that the home is to be led by the priesthood. Young man, do you know how you are to rule over your wife? Just saying it. Paul was too nervous to remember his name, so he just smiled. The key is found in the Doctrine and Covenants. Does anybody here know the section that talks about how the priesthood functions? Sorry, this is their wedding?
I did expect for somebody to interject there, but I guess I once again have had way too high of expectations.
I can't believe this guy at the wedding is like, let's just all do a bit of scripture study on how this man is going to be ruling over this woman.
That's how it goes down in there sometimes.
Section 121, Lara said. That's right. It says that no power or influence can or ought to be maintained by the priesthood except with gentleness and meekness and unconditional love. And that's how a husband should treat his wife.
Rule.
Paul nodded. The pattern the Lord has set up is the husband follows the Saviour and his teachings, and the wife follows her husband. This was back when they just said that. He wasn't even thinking this would be controversial, He's just like, that. Of course, that's the way it is.
Now that's been stricken from the temple. Can you believe it, Jack?
Yeah. Young man, you love your wife as much as the Saviour loves the church, and you'll be blessed in your marriage. Oh, like, you love your wife as... Yeah, you get it. Then he performed the ceremony for time and all eternity. Afterwards...
Details, Jack. Any handshakes or anything?
No, you're not allowed. Afterwards, we treated them to lunch, drove them to their motel, and waved goodbye. I don't want to, honeymoon shame anyone. But, I mean, you could have waited a few more weeks and got, a deal somewhere that isn't a motel.
Oh, yeah.
Oof, I just feel like the vibes would not be conducive to, a beautiful wedding night, love-making. It would just...
At the Motel
really
6?
Feel like that would suck for her.
Also, is Sam picking them up from the honeymoon at the Motel 6?
It's hard to know.
Because they're going to have to get a cab, and that seems even more suspicious than going there in the first place.
That night, I took Lara to supper at a Mexican restaurant.
We can only hope that it's one of those themed motels, and they got, a lava room or something.
That. It's like the,
they got the
anniversary
pirate room.
inn. They're in the Star Wars room. Blast from my married past. Not on my wedding night. It was nice to be in the temple with you today, I said as we waited for our food. You're beautiful in white. You ever gonna say that to me? I think that's just such a thing that Mormon boys say to Mormon girls.
Yeah, and it's just American,
it's
romantic culture.
Just in white, she teased? No, in anything. Lately I've been winning some clothes at the store. Steve has a contest every month for the one who sells the most. I won this dress. Is Steve married? I asked, a little jealous. Yes, for now he is, but his marriage is on the rocks. He works too hard and he's never home. By the way, he said he'd like to meet you. Why don't you pick me up after work Monday? Okay. Our salads came. I looked at my watch. Well, Paul and Julie have been married now for 5 hours. She looked at me, smiled a little, and glanced at her watch. Yes, that's about right. I suppose they're having dinner now. She blushed. Yep, this is dinner time, all right. And tomorrow morning they'll have breakfast together, won't they? She laughed. I'm sure they will, because tomorrow morning it'll be breakfast time. Sam, before you embarrass me, can we change the subject? Okay, your choice. I'm just so desperate to talk about sex. They're just like mentioning, just like alluding to the fact that a couple is having sex on their wedding night. Like, oh. It's like, you weirdo, you child.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam, before you embarrass me, can we change the subject? Okay, your choice. I'm in my ward choir and we're singing tomorrow. Want to come and hear us? Are you any good? No, but we're enthusiastic. Our bishop says we're great. Bishops always say that. Just once I'd like to hear one say, we'd like to thank our ward choir. They are adequate, aren't they? We don't have much musical talent in our ward, as must be obvious by now. The way the choir sounded today is just about what we expected. Thank you, choir, for your slightly amusing rendition of a favourite hymn. Sam, you've got a mean streak a mile wide, she joked.
It's no joke.
This is no laughing matter. The waitress brought our food. Oh, look at that, she said. I love Mexican food. She took a bite of her taco. Oh, that's good. Love the dialogue. I watched her enjoy the food. She was beautiful, even when chewing. Now, hang on a minute. A woman looking beautiful while eating, consuming calories,
Incredible.
nourishing her sinful body.
It's not sugar. It's not sugar. It's very hot.
Why aren't you eating? She asked.
Or just a little bit of sugar.
Laura, I love you. Really? She asked, putting down the taco. You mean indications have finally pointed to love? They have. That makes me very happy. She picked up her taco and took another bite. I just sat and watched her. Isn't your enchilada going to get cold? She asked. I don't care, Laura. I want to hold your hand. He's really horny after the wedding.
Yeah, he
Thinking
is.
about Julie and Paul has got him hot under the collar.
Yeah, them eating breakfast together.
You do? She asked, her taco stopping midway to her mouth. Yes. Pause. If you hold my hand, I won't be able to finish my taco. I'm sorry about the timing.
This is exactly why God gave us two hands.
She sighed.
Taco in
And a
one.
taco is objectively a one-hand food. That's the point of
That's
them.
why they exist.
But sometimes they're not, and it fucking... She sighed. The greatest tribute I can give you is that a returned missionary from New Mexico is now laying down her taco. Look, you may as well hold both hands. I'm not doing anything with the other. What'd that mean? I love you very much. Even like the way he says I love you just feels like a parent saying it to a child. I love you very much. You know what? She asked. Right offhand, I'd bet we're going to kiss tonight, aren't we? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want you to think this will require any permanent commitment, but it will mean we love each other, won't it?
Wait, sorry. Oh my God.
They're going to kiss tonight. Get
They
the
haven't
program.
kissed yet.
They haven't kissed yet because neither of them wanted to.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's what it'll mean, I said. I can hardly wait. I guess we should finish our food, I said. Sam, look away. I don't want you to see this.
My food.
I'm about to set a world record in taco snarfing. We ate quickly without much talk.
Does that get you turned on?
After paying the bill, we jumped in the car and left. I raced to a place I used to go to high school after dates. It was a vacant lot then. Now it was a housing development.
Full of other high schoolers there. And
Don't-
people of equal emotional, social... Sorry.
Wait, sorry, what?
I'm just reveling in the fact that he's going to a place he used to go in high school as a way of impressing this fully grown adult woman who he's courting and about to show through a kiss that he very much loves her. Just commiserating.
Well, don't get me started on how purity culture pushes kids into situations like abandoned parking lots to just, like, make out when it's like, just let them do that in their bedrooms. Just don't get involved.
Yeah.
Just give them a curfew if you have to and send them on their way.
They're necking in the automobiles.
We jumped in the car and left. I went blah, 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 blah. Then I decided to see if my car would go where I used to go when I had my Jeep. We got stuck in a ditch and had to phone a wrecker service. Oh. 3 hours later, I pulled outside her house, turned off the ignition, turned on the radio, reached over with my lips, and kissed her. A few seconds later, we decided to breathe.
Reached over just with my lips.
I think he's necking. Wow, I gasped. It was adequate, she teased. Much more than adequate. For me too. I think having the radio on to Mystery Theatre was a nice touch. Thanks. It really set the stage. I held her, and together we tried to figure out who killed the butler. Did you have the onions, or did I? She asked. I did, sorry. I can take onion breath. I've been to New Mexico. All that night, after I'd gone home, I had heartburn. Okay. That wasn't the sexy end to the scene I would have hoped for. Monday after work, I dropped by
The subtext is also blue balls. Or did he come from that? I don't know.
Monday after work, I dropped by the store where Lara worked and met Steve. He was about my age, enthusiastic and charming. So you're Sam. Lara's told me a lot about you. As far as I see it, you're the only one standing in the way of her becoming a very rich lady. How's that? Running off with her every Saturday cuts into her sales. She tells me she's doing better than anyone else. She is, but think what she could do if she worked Saturdays.
Is she going to give up her career for him?
Why don't you let her do that, and I'll give you both 5% of what I make from her sales that day. I'd rather have her with me. She's a wonder, I hope you know that. For our best customers, she's memorized names, faces, dress measurements, color preferences. When we get a new shipment, she goes through it, picks out the ones they'd like, calls them up, and they come down and buy.
The dream Lululemon rep.
It's like, wow, she's such a good person. She's so
or
good at selling stuff.
What's Lululemon?
Yeah, I know. I was like, Tana, how are you crossing out? I mean, like, maybe
that's the restaurant, LuLaRoe.
No, Lululemon is a yoga brand.
Oh, what's LuLaRoe?
LuLaRoe is the MLM cult.
Oh. For some reason, the leggings. Yoga.
Yeah, but Lululemon leggings are like $120 and worth it.
Okay, this whole time I thought you had LuLaRoe.
You thought I had the MLM cult leggings?
At some point in your life, I thought that.
No, never. Okay. I've never liked them.
No, not even once, club.
They're not even once, club. People are calling on the phone to make appointments with her. I've never seen anything like it. She could be a very rich woman in a few years. I just hope I can keep her happy enough here so she won't start her own store. Is Sam thinking like, oh, well, obviously she's going to have to quit her job because we're going to be married, so she can't have a job and women. I think
she just
that's
can't perform as well.
No, I think that Jack and Sam are of the belief that a woman shouldn't have a job once she's a wife. She should just be looking after her husband.
Yeah.
She'd be my toughest competition. By the way, Lara, why don't you pick out another dress? You won last month's contest. Lara walked over to a dress rack. And what do you do, Sam? I work at the computer centre at the U. Is there any money in that? Not much, working for the state, you know. You going to do that your whole life? I haven't decided. When are you going to decide? I don't know. Let me give you some advice. Don't sit on your dreams. Think big and act big. You can be an eagle in this world, or you can be a cow.
Apples and oranges much? What?
I'd almost rather be a cow. I feel like being an eagle, you gotta be like eating mice all the time. Cows, you can just be like chilling and eating grass. Yeah, no violence.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm cut out for bird life. I don't think I'd like it.
I'd take either.
A secretary told him there was a call waiting. Do you know what that's for? He asked. I'm working on a deal to build 4 new stores in this area. In 5 years, I'll be rich enough so I'll never have to work again if I don't want to. Be an eagle, Sam. The next day at work...
Sam, be a cow. Okay, listen, they're sacred in India.
The next day at work, as someone shoved a fouled-up program over my desk for the 1,000th time, I had an almost uncontrollable urge to moo.
See?
And that was Sam chapter 10.
Wow.
What did we learn?
Give up on your dreams. Work for the state.
Be an eagle. No, don't work for the state.
Oh.
Just sell people stuff.
Okay.
Fast fashion. LuLaRoe. That was the birth of Lula. That was what.
That's
that guy.
This laid in the same way that Jerry Springer paved the way for the ultimate rise of Donald Trump. So Jack Whalen's Sam paved the way for LuLaRoe to really get its claw in
Jack
the world.
Wayland wrote so that LuLaRoe could scam.
Uh-huh.
And Lara would be the best LuLaRoe consultant, it sounds like.
Phenomenal.
But God, at what cost? What do you guys think?
Tune in next week
sound
when
off
we do
in the
this
comments.
all again.
Have you noticed I'm starting to say sound off in the comments now?
Yeah, I like it.
I'm going to make it my thing.
Yeah, make it your thing. We'll get a little icon.
Tana, it's everyone's thing.
It's a meme everyone's doing.
Okay, bye. Love you.